Good afternoon. This is Angela Alexander, Brown Angel Books and Coaching. I hope all is well with you today. Uh, Today is a great day. I am, before I get started, I want to let you know that Brown Angel Books and Coaching is taking the Speak Workshop live. So if you would like to do a live event at your organization, we are booking our calendar for the year. So if you'd like to do a live at your organization, just send an email to brownangelbc@gmail, and we'll be glad to get back with you and let you know how we can help you. Today, I wanted to talk about something not so neutral. And so I have to admit to you that most of my posts that I have done thus far have been kind of neutral in terms of parents and our what is our God-given expectation for parenting. Now, granted, there have been some great posts. I mean, if you follow on YouTube or on Facebook or Instagram, what have you, they're great posts, very insightful. However, today, I just feel a little bit more inclined based on the weekend that I had with, just a lot of learning that happened this weekend to not be long, but be very intentional. So, um, where do I want to go first? So, I know. So this is an apple. Ooh, as you can see, it's juicy too. This is an apple, right? Now, an apple, as you know, has seeds. Now, this one has been cut, and I put like a preservative on it so that it would not appear to be oxidizing as I'm talking. This is a seed. I don't know if you can see that. Um, that's a seed. There you go. There's a seed. And as I counted, this apple may have had roughly about eight or so seeds in that apple. I heard a quote not long ago that you can count the seeds that are in that apple, but you cannot count the number of apples that are in that one seed that I showed you. Why am I giving you this analogy? Well, our words, our actions, positive or negative, are seeds. They're seeds sown into our children. They are seeds sown into the hearer, right? And so we, of course, are products of a seed, an egg and a sperm got together and created the person. One, all it took was one, right? All it takes is one seed of hatefulness. Or maybe hatefulness is kind of too strong. One seed of speaking more harshly than you should, maybe that called for the situation. One seed of a child not understanding, go to your room, and them being sent there to kind of process what you just downloaded into them, that one seed. And we don't look at it so much as a seed or even as anything other than I'm just correcting them. They need to be corrected. I told them to go, or like the video I saw earlier today, the dad, the dad comes into the room and the kid is watching TV. No, the kid was playing a game. And the dad says to the kid, um, I told you to go clean your room. And the kid snapped right back in the same tone that the dad used and said, I told you I was playing the game. Now, on the title of this post, it says, Is the dad wrong? And so the dad picks up something and smashes the TV, and now he says, so you finished playing your game, go clean your room. And the title of the message of the video is the dad wrong? And I did not read the messages or read the post on this particular one, but usually people like, yeah, good job, dad, way to go. But that smashing the TV is a seed. because the child left. I mean, child jumped, of course. He frightened the kid, and that's a seed sown. And so when that child has a tantrum in the store because they can't get their own way, or when that child is yelling or picking up something to throw it, you're wondering what's wrong with the child, not thinking that you sowed that seed. When I on this Saturday, I was listening to this. I've listened to several speakers talk, but this one in particular, he said, "There's an order. There is God. There's your family in the middle, and then there's ministry. There's God. Your family is sandwiched in the middle, and ministry, right? And so, as such, there is an order that we follow to know how to minister. And I looked up minister because many of us, like if someone said you were called into ministry or that you were a minister, that you became a minister when you became a parent, you would probably go, "No, I'm not. I'm a lot of things, but a minister I am not." And so, one of the definitions, and this is like the third definition that I saw on dictionary.com, it says a minister is a person authorized and appointed by or under authority of a sovereign or a head of a government or high office or state. So basically, when you think of God, there doesn't get anybody any more sovereign than that, right? And so, if you want to know how to manage your family, if you want direction, if you want to know what to do and what not to do, that's who you ask. That's who you go to. And that is who you are called to or called by. Children are an inheritance that come from God. And so if when what no matter how they came here, whether you adopted them, whether you had them under whatever circumstances you had them under, they didn't get here except by him allowing them to be here. He is not the circumstance, but he is the giver of life. And so, if you want to know how to govern what he has given you, you go to the person who gave it to you. Just like when I need to know how to operate my car, if something is going awry and I don't know why it's doing that, I go to the manual and oh, it's flashing because this is going wrong or it needs more of this, that, and the other, right? When we want to know how to properly govern our families, we go to God. It's God, your family in the middle, and then your ministry. Makes sense. Okay. So going back to the dad who smashed the TV and it says, was he wrong? Well, if that's not the seed that he wants to see going forward in his child or anybody else in that house, then I would say, yeah, he was wrong. He was out of control. And oftentimes people are out of control when they don't know what else to do. But I gave somebody this example maybe last year that let's say, for example, I leave home and I'm angry with my husband or I'm angry and in my anger, I smash into the back of your car. I didn't see it. I was angry. And because I was driving angry, this is what happened. Now, I had a reason for my anger, but does that take away the responsibility that I have now smashed the back of your car? It doesn't. And so, hey, I didn't see you, but they tell you that ignorance of the law does not expunge you, it does not keep you from your guilt, right? Am I not guilty of hitting your car just because I didn't see it or I was justified, I was angry? No, no, it doesn't. And when you sow that seed, just like the one seed I showed you in this apple, that one seed multiplies. You don't get the one apple because you sowed the one seed. You get multiplication. And so, if you want to see love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control, the fruit of the Spirit, then you sow those things. How do I do that? Well, you do it first of all, you have to ask God. Then you have to get wisdom from those appointed by Him to teach. I'm one of those people, right? And so, a lot of what I teach, even with this parent coaching, my job and what he's showing me more clearly is to braid his word into the coaching so that people who know him and love him, which is not everybody, I'm not called to everybody. And especially what I'm talking about today is not called to everybody. But if you are part of the kingdom of God, one of his kids, what he has put on my heart is braiding the word of God into parent coaching so that those of us who know him, who claim him, can show that in our families. Because as it's going right now, with the faith that our children are seeing, they're like, you know what? If that is Christianity, if that is who God is, I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm good. And we're being bad examples, but not the best examples. And because we don't realize it, does that keep us from being responsible? It doesn't. If you don't want your grandchildren or your great grandchildren to sound like you multiplied, then sometimes we have to back up and recalibrate. We've got to back up and recalibrate because what we're sowing, if we reap that and our next generation reaps that and it is multiplied, what do you say? What do your children and your grandchildren look like? Hi, little cousin. It's good to see you, Deoncia. And so the dad taking the TV, and smashing it. Or the other dad I saw in a video taking the door off the hinge, and the child says, "Hey, dad, where are you going with my door?" Right? And the dad says, and granted, he's calm, but he says, "Well, son, because you didn't do your homework and you were stomping, we're taking your door off the hinge." Right? But when that dad had that opening with the child, that was a good place. It was a good place for him to go into the child, to have a moment with the child, find out what's going on with the child. Because, granted, listen, if we don't take the time to slow down instead of exploding, you're not going to be able to speak into your children when you need to. Think about it in your own personality. If I come at you and I'm rolling my head and stomping and yelling at you, and I got attitude every time I talk to you, but then something is happening and I need to tell you something, the likelihood that you're going to hear me is pretty slim because I've already breached something there. And it is okay to back up and say to your kid or the people in your house, "Hey, look, you know what? I know I haven't always gotten it right, and I want to do that. And so this is what I'm going to do." And just like that seed, when it is planted, it goes into the ground and it dies first. You don't see something the moment that you plant that seed. That a part of you has to die to self. That part of you that just wants to go off because you can. That part of you that's like, I'm just going to, I'm whipping everybody in sight because I can. If you are not intentional about what you're doing, if what you're doing, because there's a lot of debate on whether to hit or not hit, yell or not yell, and I can't come into your house and tell you what your child will or will not listen to, but I will encourage you to take a moment and ask yourself, are they learning in this moment? Can they duplicate the correction after it's done? I had a case in point this morning in my own house, actually last night and this morning. So last night, I'll get to last night before I get to this morning. Last night, I was just sitting down and I actually was playing a game on my phone, and I heard very clearly, "Go check on your son." And I'm thinking it was one son. I have an older son. I have two sons, and I was thinking it was my older son. But then I knocked on the door of my younger son, and he was just sitting on his bed. And he was just staring in space. "Son, are you okay?" "I don't know." He said, "I don't know." He was talking and crying and talking and crying. And so, what am I saying in this? Is that you have to ask God to show you your children. You have to ask God to show you you. And sometimes we have to slow down. And I was able to speak some things into him last night and this morning. And this morning I prayed for that child. I prayed for my children, but I especially prayed for him because there was a heaviness coming over him. Lord only knows where it came from. But if you are not sensitive to them, sensitive to us, even a change, like it just doesn't, something's not feeling quite right in your household. You're not sensitive to that and humble enough to, like, you know what, maybe I didn't talk to them quite right, but I'm going to go to them and I'm going to go talk to them. You're not sensitive to that. You're not going to be able to speak into that child on times when they need it the most. And I keep saying this, and I'm hoping that somebody hears me. That what do they say? You can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. If you come in there all the time and you're vinegar, when your kid needs you the most, they're not going to hear you no matter how much you cry. You took the door off the hinge, you broke the TV, you cussed them out in 3 different languages, and now you want them to hear you? Would you hear you? So this morning, I I go to the sink and I see this the cutting board, and the cutting board has flour. Some he was my younger son was working on. He wanted to make these little puffs or something he made yesterday. And I always tell them, make sure you clean that up after you, right? And so I go to the sink and I see the cutting board in the sink. And as soon as I was about to say his name, I saw the pot that I left there soaking. And it was just like, they copy what they see. You clean that pot before you say one thing to your son. As a matter of fact, go ahead and clean that cutting board. Because a lot of times the irritations that we see in our children are in us. Check you. Check you. And if that is in prayer, then ask God to help you with you so that you can adequately speak into the lives of your family and those that you care about. Because I know you care about them. But sometimes we need to check ourselves before we wreck our whole situation. And when we sow that seed, like I showed you earlier, and this apple has been cut, and I put a preservative on it so that it wouldn't oxidize when I showed you. And a lot of us, we know how to cover up. We know how to put the makeup on. We know how to put the smile on so that people don't know that we've been sliced, that we've been cut, that we've been hurt, and we do what was done to us. And if we don't slow down and make some changes an inch at a time, what we're sowing doesn't multiply with one seed, it multiplies. And if you don't want to see it, you got to stop sowing it. I know it's a little more serious than I usually come today, but the order again that he told me, that the speaker told me, was God, your family, and ministry. And you are the minister, the person who is authorized and appointed by an authority who is God to be over your family, to teach them, to show them. It has to come from you. So I am Angela Alexander. This is Brown Angel Books and Coaching. Again, we are scheduling for this year. If you'd like to get on our calendar to have a live speak conference at your conference or workshop at your church or wherever. It doesn't have to be a church or your organization, wherever. Just send a message to brownangelbc@gmail. We'll get back in touch with you and we'll be glad to help you. So, hi, Michelle. I'm about to sign off. And Darren, you guys have a great day. And thank you again for your support. I really appreciate you. Blessings to you.